welcome to another episode of Epic Understanding. I have a magnificent woman for you tonight. Her name is Sharmin Smith, but it's not just her as the woman. I can honestly tell you, I've never had a story so rooted in scandal, with power, with vulnerability. It's just something we have to unwrap together. So, without further ado, Sharmin Smith, how you doing?
Ugh, all the scandal. Fantastic. How are you?
I'm pretty good. So, you know what? When we made your promotion card, it said what?
Raped, slut shamed, and defamed.
Is that true?
Yeah, man. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's pretty much that. It hurt, but it's pretty much true. Yeah, it's life. Yep.
Okay. So, let's do a quick rundown because there's a lot to unpack.
Yep. And are we going to stick to an hour, or is this going to be like a 2 hour butt whipping?
Yes, it's going to be a it's going to be a 2 hour butt whipping.
It's all about managing expectations.
Right. So, I'll let you down for a water break, maybe.
Oh, good. Yeah.
All right. So let's just get right into it. Let's give a summation. You ran for president in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, really ran, not pretend. You filed a
It wasn't a joke, right? It wasn't a joke. It's something I really cared about. It's something that's important to me.
And you got divorced during the process, correct?
Correct. One of the reasons I got a divorce is because my spouse told me he had skeletons in his closet and he did not want to be a politician's spouse. And there was a lot of things going on in my household that I did not approve of. And I was not interested in giving up my dreams so that I could sit at home and put up with bad behavior.
Okay. So that was one of the reasons.
One of the reasons.
You lost your kids during the process.
Mm-hmm. They chose to live with their dad. There was a lot of chaos and drama, and he has a lot more money than I do. And he bought them. They walked out of the house and left all of their belongings, even their electronics. He bought them all new everything.
Okay. There was an allegation of rape against
me.
You.
Against me. Yep. Yep. He told my kids that I raped him. He told his coworkers that I raped him. It was really embarrassing. It was a horrible event that our details don't match. As we argued about the event, his excuses became more and more offensive. And it was the greatest night of his life. And it was not the greatest night of my life. And I didn't ever want to be intimate with him again. And I told him we were getting a divorce. I had already served him with divorce papers. He had begged me to stop the action. He was going to go to therapy. Everything was going to get better. I did. It didn't get better. It got worse. And I moved into another room. Told him.
Wait. I'm going to slow you down. We're not unpacking it all yet. I'm just getting some basics.
Yeah.
Some basic facts.
We had two different stories. They didn't match up. His made me angrier and angrier. I took the actions.
Your husband says that you raped him.
More than once.
Oh.
The second time he accused me of raping him, I told him I was going to call the police and demand an investigation. He packed up and moved out of the house that day.
Okay. And then you got into an illicit affair with your campaign manager.
Yep. First person I tried to date. It was a horrible mistake.
And this person was a female.
Correct. Yeah. No, I joked for years. Inappropriately, I got myself into some trouble with the LGBTQ community. I joked inappropriately that if it didn't work out between me and my husband, I was going to switch teams and go to women. That's not how sexuality works. It's really not. You might think that you're tired of men, but that's really not how it works.
Okay. And so have you ever had sex with any other woman besides your campaign manager?
No, I have not. And one of the reasons why she was angry with me, I didn't feel like what she and I did went far enough to actually qualify as sex. And I wouldn't put her on my list. She was very upset about it.
Okay. And she physically hurt you.
She did. She
Okay.
did. And it felt deliberate. She physically hurt me in a way that felt deliberate, like she was trying to cause me pain. And she had told me that she liked it more rough. And I guess I didn't really have a perspective on what that was going to be. And she was very rough with me. She hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
And I stopped everything immediately because I'm not interested in pain. I'm just not.
Okay.
I don't want to be hurt.
We have the basic details down now. But in all of this, she accused you of entrapping her in your house and you fought?
Is that what she said?
You guys had a fight in
Yes,
your
we
house.
did. Yes, we did. We had an argument. I knew her for several months, and I had been waiting on documentation from her for multiple accusations that she had. I was waiting for proof of lawsuits. Nothing ever came in. She was cutting herself or pretending to cut herself, like she was going to cut herself. She would, poke the knife into her skin so it went in real deep but never broke the skin. It seemed very manipulative all the time. She was talking about suicide all the time, and she wanted to go home to the hospital she was born in to die. And I drove her to the hospital she was born in Philadelphia, and she admitted herself into the facility for a mental health exam. And I thought that would be the end of her. She came back to my house. She has money. So when she got out of the hospital, she came down to Florida, showed up at my house, and started making some accusations to me that she had a sex tape and was going to release a sex tape.
So one of the curiosities I have is, if she has so much money, why was she staying at your house?
Excellent question. There a lot of things didn't match up. But she obviously had enough money to fly from Philadelphia to Jacksonville a couple of times.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very interesting. And I want to put it right on the table. You have a lot of people who don't believe your story.
Yeah.
They question your integrity.
Yep.
They want your receipts.
Yep.
Okay. Do you have some receipts, Sharmin?
I have some receipts. I've posted some in the Discord chat. I have done a couple of different things with some receipts.
Okay. I'm encouraging everyone to review those receipts and then bring your questions. In addition to that, Sharmin, let's bring out and just say hello to the KAF family.
Thank you, Kermitarians. Hi, everybody. It's nice to see everyone in the chat. I'm going to try not to read the chat, but
yeah, how that goes. And in addition to that, you brought all of this out in the first place, right?
Well, I was kind of here waiting for it to show up. I felt like it was going to show up here at Kermit and Friends. I've been experiencing a lot of stalking and harassment that I have felt is from her. It's been going on for the last 2.5 years, even after she was arrested in July of 2019. And the stalking and harassment that I receive directly is targeted towards me and my children and my family. It's really upsetting. It's not going away. It just seems to get worse. We had a bunch of drama here at Kermit and Friends, and I have tap danced around some of the reasons why my campaign didn't go farther than I had hoped it would. And we had a bunch of drama here at Kermit and Friends that really felt very similar to my actual situation. And I kept listening to the stories of this individual on how he'd been stalked and harassed and the things these people have done to him to harass him. And some of it was very similar to me. And some of it gave me nightmares of how much worse my problem could get. And I'm just kind of tired of hiding from it.
As a matter of fact, you have been told that there was going to be some threats coming for you. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
What were those?
I had been told that my campaign manager and the host, Elisa of Kermit and Friends, were actually conspiring together and blackmailing me. I'd been told a bunch of different things that I didn't believe. I didn't think Elisa was working with my campaign manager, and I thought it was really horrible for somebody to accuse her of that. If she was, then I'm wrong, but I don't think that's the case. I've heard, I need to be quiet or someone's going to come kill me. And I said, great, do it from a distance, make it quick. I don't want to suffer. I've been told a bunch of different things. It all seems to be terror tactics that are done just to keep me quiet. And it became very real to me that it wasn't ever going to go away. It was just going to keep getting worse. And I felt like I was just waiting for the bad stuff to happen. I got tired of waiting for it. One of the things somebody asked me one time was, how do you feel about a preemptive attack? Instead of waiting for the other shoe to drop, don't you just go after somebody and pick the argument and let it happen and force it to happen? And I said, no, I always wait for the shoe to drop. And this time I didn't. This time I dropped the shoe myself.
So was that empowering?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
It's had some ups and down moments for sure. I'm still worried about it, but it was really a relief yesterday, right? Because I finally started talking about this and I asked about it, and the Kermitarian community has really stepped up behind me to help me. And I got some good information yesterday that was very emotional, very upsetting for me. But I had people step forward and offer to help me fix it, and I'm going to take that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So let's go to the rape of your husband.
When I raped my husband?
Apparently so.
Yeah, I violently raped him. I deserved the death penalty for what I did to him. Mm-hmm. That's what he told me.
And he was yelling this to your kids.
Yeah. And I'm not allowed to talk to my children about it. And I really don't want any more drama with my kids.
Okay. And right now, your kids do come see you, though, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You spend a lot of time with them. So right now it's good.
Right now it's real good. And right now, they're very aware that they were deceived. They're very aware that they were campaigned to, right? Campaigning is one thing, governing is another. And they're aware of that. And I get a lot of stories about what's going on, and it's very upsetting. There's nothing I can do about it. All I'm allowed to do is listen.
Mm-hmm. So they're in an emotional place too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. We won't go too much into what your kids are doing right now, but they are coming to see you. Mm-hmm. And
almost every day.
Almost every day.
Almost every day.
That's beautiful. Mm-hmm. So there's a big allegation that you are a terrible woman because you lost your kids. Did you lose your kids?
We all know what is said about the women that don't get their kids. And in Florida, the standard for visitation is 50-50. And I get every other weekend, every Wednesday, whenever he travels.
Okay. But the question is, did you lose your kids?
I feel like I lost them. My relationship with them isn't the same. But I'm always going to be their mom.
But in legal terms.
I mean, I still have legal responsibility. I can still sign documents and go to doctor's appointments and the school and all that other stuff.
So during our conversation, what I understand is that you did not lose your kids.
I lost them.
You lost some relationships because they didn't trust you anymore, but legally they actually chose to go live with their dad.
Correct.
Okay. And so I'm really trying to get down to business on this and be precise, because losing your kids legally is different from a kid deciding, particularly one of a particular age, is that, you know what, mom's kooky right now, and I kind of believe dad.
Yeah, sure is. I had a false CPS claim made against me. And I spoke with CPS and told them what was going on, and the case was closed immediately, and that was the end of that. CPS was really spectacular to me during that.
Okay, that's good. Now, why did the police get involved in your rape investigation?
I told him I was going to go to the police and demand an investigation. And I went to the police and I explained the situation, and I told them that I wasn't 100% sure what happened that night because our version of events was different, and I wanted help getting to the bottom of it because he was running around ruining my reputation.
And so, do you have any documentation of that?
You bet I do. And I moved into the loudest broad in town next door, and she's real good friends with the cops, and I dropped every bit of it in her lap.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So
this ain't over for me. I had 3 big synchronizations come together when I made the move into my new place. And it really felt like the universe was telling me, it's time to clean this up.
Okay.
I'm going to.
You're going to. So everything gets settled with your ex-husband. You guys get divorced. But still, your campaign manager is involved. So you got romantically involved with a woman while you were still married. Is that correct?
I was legally separated, but, well, still married, yep.
Still married. And you met this woman how?
LinkedIn.
Wow, okay. You met her on LinkedIn, and she becomes your campaign manager, and you trust her enough to be in your house. Under what pretense did she move in? Because I do not understand
how. She was just visiting, and I couldn't get rid of her. It was uncomfortable. And at first, she would come and visit for a week and be gone, and then she would come back, and she was in and out of the hospital. It's not like she was ever in my house every day for months on end. But she was there a lot of days for several months.
Okay. Did she have a key to your house?
No, she did not. And she wanted the code to my gun safe, and I refused to give it to her. That I was sure she was going to try to kill me at one point in time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I'm taken back by that.
Yeah. And then I remember the day she came to me, and she had this fear story, this chaos that didn't make sense, that she couldn't back up, and she wanted access to my gun safe for her protection. I said no. Like, didn't even think twice about it. No. Not a single chance in hell, no way.
Okay. And so during this time, she is actually your campaign manager. So how is she helping you? What's going on with
She's not helping. She's not doing what she's supposed to be doing. She's doing things to cause trouble and create chaos. And when she's a tech person, and she didn't like my website, so she was going to recreate my website. And I was like, great. Knock yourself out. I don't want to make the website. And she's a tech person. It should have been a slam dunk. And it was drama. And then she brought somebody in to do it for her. And then she was managing that person, but constantly complaining about them. And I was mediating fights between her and this person all the time. And it was just ridiculous. And anytime I would talk to her about deadlines not being met, she had every excuse in the world. It just, and it all went back to a really traumatic assault that she had experienced, and she was struggling managing her emotions because of her assault. And I felt really compelled to help her as a rape survivor. It was like we trauma bonded.
So, Sharmin, there is someone trying to call in to ask you a question, but we'll wait on that. We will wait on that.
Is it Jenny? Is that what I'm seeing? Is it Jenny?
It might
My
be.
campaign manager had a good friend named Jenny in Wisconsin.
Huh. And so it was not just her plotting against you. It was her and a number of friends, correct?
Her husband, his sister-in-law, she had an attorney. There's a group of people that seemed to be involved, and at first it just seemed like it was her husband and her sister-in-law and her attorney who was helping her with her lawsuits. And it seemed real and authentic and true and reasonable.
What did she accuse you of? Because she ended up accusing you of something.
I mean, she blackmailed me with a sex tape.
Well, there you go. But she accused you of being violent with her in your house.
I put my hands on her the day she told me she was releasing a sex tape. I put my hands on her shoulders, her arms, and I pushed her up against a wall. And we were both arguing and yelling. And her switch flipped immediately. She instantly became calm and told me she was going to contact my attorney and my guardian ad litem and my children and tell them that I was violent and unstable and I shouldn't be allowed to be near my children.
Wow. Okay. Do you think her and your husband and your campaign manager were working together?
I don't know who she was working for, but she sure wasn't working for me.
Okay.
Now, I asked her several times if she was working for Trump after she shut down my campaign website, after she made a donation and charged it back. There was just a bunch of weird things. I'm like, are you sure you really you're not working for the devil and here to destroy me? Are you sure you're not working for my husband? Are you sure you're not? Because you don't feel like you're actually here to help me. It feels like you're just doing things to destroy me. And of course, I was just paranoid.
Do you owe her money?
No, actually, there was a PayPal issue. She got paid twice. She owes me a lot of money. And one of the things I posted in the Discord chat was documentation, emails from her and her sister-in-law, who was supposedly an attorney, money that they were going to be paying me.
Okay.
There was a lot of things that were going on towards the end, right? And I kept catching her in lies, and I was looking for ways to document what was going on. She made me a partner in her business. I have a contract. I don't think it's legitimate, but I have it. She had started a nonprofit for a girl who had committed suicide, and she put me on the nonprofit. I had her handwrite out a contract that she would stop cutting, stop making suicide threats, stop comparing me to Kathy. There was money that she had promised me. She hand wrote out everything that she was going to do. I haven't pursued suing her because I don't think she's got anything to sue for. I thought it would be a waste of time.
So you don't know, you think she has money or you don't know if she has money? Because it's going back and forth.
I don't know what the truth is.
Okay. So you have accused her of physically harming you sexually.
She hurt me. She hurt me. We were going to be intimate together. We set it up. We went, got started, and she was very rough with me. She was very rough with me. She hurt me. She caused me physical pain. I immediately told her I was in pain. She knew I was in pain. And that was the end of that. I don't know how much detail you want me to go into about it.
Well, she physically hurt your female genitalia area. As a matter of fact,
go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah. You
No, no,
have some
you
you have a special circumstance
I
that
do, I do. And it was something that I had talked to her about because I was very nervous about it. I had talked to her about the fact that um, I've had multiple surgeries to repair a pelvic organ prolapse, and I have a urethral sling, which helps with urinary incontinence. And I was just nervous that she was the first person I had been with, other than my ex. The last experience wasn't good. I had been hurt already, and I wasn't looking for another painful situation. And so I thought that I could explain my health issue to her, which she researched significantly, and it would make it better. It would make the intimacy better. And instead, what it really felt like was she researched and went exactly where she needed to go to hurt me, because she never even penetrated me. She focused on an area before the entrance, and she was so rough and so st- strong. She was so strong and so rough that it felt like something pulled all the way across that area. And the only way I could explain it was it felt like a piece of elastic pulling through a hem. But somebody else asked if it would be more like a knitted sweater, like one of the strings in a knitted sweater pulled tight. The way a urethral sling works, and I'm not a doctor, so sorry. It's like a piece of tape. It's like a long piece of tape, and it looks like for better example, a window screen, right? It's mesh. It's mesh tape, and it felt like a piece of that pulled tight, and it was very painful.
so you let her know that she hurt you. You
Immediately,
and what did she do?
she apologized and she stopped.
And that was the end of your encounter.
That was the end of that encounter. And I wouldn't have another encounter. I had this thing in my mind that I needed to wait 6 weeks for everything to heal. And within 6 weeks, it was just total chaos. There was no way I was going to do anything intimate with her.
So why is this a thing? What's the problem with this circumstance?
I wouldn't have brought it up if she hadn't have brought up the fact that we had a relationship. But it hurt me. And it's something that plays back in my mind because she researched it so much. Like, she knew so much about it. And then she didn't even try to do anything in any of the enjoyable areas. She went to this spot and was super rough with me. And the more all the other stuff plays back in my mind, it feels like she deliberately tried to hurt me. She did so
So
many other things to destroy my life. That's just one more thing I'm upset about.
on a previous interview, I have to say you do a lot of interviews. You're on a show called Kermit and Friends on a regular basis, and you've actually been taunted about this, correct?
Yep, yep. My new nickname is Slingshot because my sling is shot. 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 I
It's
needed that. I needed that. Like, I didn't know exactly how to explain it, and I was so embarrassed when it came up because it's so complicated,
mhm.
right? And so as soon as slingshot came up, I was like, "Oh, fantastic. My sling is shot."
So you're owning that you're
Yeah.
owning that nickname,
Yeah.
but it was given to you by one of your detractors.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't like me. I'm one of those people that you either love me or you hate me, right away. That's just the way it's been
So
my whole life.
some of your detractors have given you a lot of grief because you say that you're a rape victim.
I mean, I've been getting sexually abused since I was 2, so yeah.
Mhm. Um, how so? And who did this?
Members of my family and pretty much everything. All of it.
Okay. Because you say you're a rape victim, it is difficult for people to understand your flamboyant nature when it comes to sex.
Well, there's usually two manifestations for survivors of sexual assault. You're either really prude or really promiscuous.
Do you feel like you're very promiscuous?
I mean, I feel like I'm flamboyant about sex, and I'm a Scorpio, and I'm not afraid to talk about sex. So that must make me promiscuous. And as a kid growing up, my initials were SLT, and I'm sure I could have been called Salt or Slit, but I mostly just got called a slut. So whatever.
You might be being called a slut, but also it's been said that you happen to cozy up against people who are predators.
Monsters are attracted to me. That's one of the things that I talk about actually as an adult survivor of childhood abuse, is that I just have been in so many bad situations. I make excuses for poor behavior. And what I have learned through the process is that there are predators who seek out and target women like me because we're easier to manipulate.
So do you feel like you're easy to manipulate?
I feel like my picker is broken.
Do you feel like a victim?
I don't. I mean, a victim of what? A victim of my own mistakes? Sure. I made those choices. I put myself in those situations. I picked the people who hurt me.
Okay. Okay. How are you planning to move forward?
Right now, I'm kind of busy tracking down sex tapes on porn sites.
Okay. How do you feel about your sex tape? Do you really have one?
I mean, I'd like to see what it looks like. I've been hearing about it for 2.5 years. I feel very conflicted about it, but I deserve it. I brought it on myself.
I want us to take a step back to the area of rape. It's been said that you're flamboyant about sex. You can't be a rape victim because you don't talk like a survivor. You used a very strong term when it came to fingering a woman, and you said that wasn't rape.
I said it matters if it's consensual. I don't put finger banging and blowjobs on my rape list, right? I have multiple sex lists, right? I have my consensual sex list, and I have my non-consensual sex list, and I have my events that don't even make it to a sex list, right? And I put the violent things on the sex list, right? I put fisting on the sex list, but not finger banging. Fisting on the rape list, but not finger banging.
Very interesting. I think that, of course,
and I have been corrected,
right,
severely.
Do you think it's sexual assault?
Absolutely think it's sexual assault. Especially if it's non-consensual. Consensual is really important.
So
and I consented to what happened with me and my campaign manager. It wasn't what I thought I was consenting to, but I consented to that.
So were you essentially saying what happened to you wasn't rape?
With my campaign manager?
Right.
I don't categorize that as rape. I consented to that experience. It just feels like I was consenting to something else.
So, and I'm not saying it was that it was rape. What I'm trying to grasp is, do you believe if a person, man or woman, invades another person's body, is that rape or not?
If it's not consensual, right? It's about consent for me, right? And that's really important. And it's something that we don't really spend a lot of time talking about is consent. And if it is consensual, it is not rape to me. Now, you can revoke your consent at any time. And if it continues after you have revoked your consent, that's absolutely rape. But for me, there's a lot of weight placed on whether or not you want to be there.
Okay. It sounds to me that you are either retracting your statement or truly almost you've evolved in your thinking.
Well,
What would you say?
I try to learn and grow. One of the things that's really important to me is that people should feel comfortable criticizing me, especially constructive criticism. That's so important for all of us. I don't have all the answers. I don't know everything. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I'm not the smartest person in the room. I don't want to be. I was a young manager. I learned very early on that I don't have all the answers and how important it is to lean on the strengths of your people. You learn a lot from everybody that you come around. And one of the problems that I have found in this experience, this process that I've been on for several years now, is that there's no set standard of expectations across the board that everybody in the country, where all the laws fall under, that we can all agree on what is and what is not rape. And it's something that's been really difficult for me during this Me Too movement, as so many people have been coming forward and sharing their Me Too stories on what everybody thinks is rape. And I have watched our country, our society, our men and women struggle with all of this information that's coming out, and nobody really knows how to handle it anymore. And we've missed something in the sex education in our country for the last couple of decades. In the 80s, we had Dr. Ruth trying to bring us out of our cave and enlighten us and teach us that sex is okay and it's not something to be ashamed of. And we have lost that in the last several years. We don't have anybody leading these conversations. And now we're in a crisis where Me Too is everywhere. People are sharing their rape and their assault stories, and other people are scared because they don't know what they can do and what they can't do and what is okay and what isn't okay. And what I want to find a way to do is create a way for people to have a healthy dialogue about this so that we can put an end to this. We're smart enough to overcome this. We know how important consent is, but apparently we need to give a lesson on what it really is and how you get it, how long you keep it, what happens when you lose it. And these are important questions and these are all important issues. And we need to stop being so ashamed of sex. We need to stop being so ashamed of this natural thing that's taking place and stop shaming each other for it, because we're not helping our own situation by just shaming everybody into silence. We're growing. We're all evolving. I'm evolving. I'm trying to get better every day. And I'm just trying to find a way to make it so that other people who are in similar situations like me have the space to comfortably express themselves and talk through it too.
So you brought all of this out in your community. There was another woman that you interviewed, and initially you thought that she was having sex with your husband.
Ooh, I'm not sure everybody knows that my campaign manager said that she was my husband's mistress. One of the things my campaign manager accused this poor woman of was sleeping with my husband. And I absolutely wanted proof of that for my divorce. I had been trying to catch him cheating for a long time, and he's slippery. He's a slippery sucker. And the proof is really important to me. And she was so wonderful when I talked to her. The lies that have been told against her for the last couple of years, I have hated this woman's guts since December of 2018, and she's lovely. She's really a wonderful person who's helping me clean up the lies that my campaign manager told me. And I can't express my gratitude and kindness to her enough for being willing to help.
As a matter of fact, there was an accusation that this woman set your campaign manager up to be raped at the 2019?
2018 Super Bowl, a party the night before the Super Bowl in 2018 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Yeah, my campaign manager gave me this horrible story about an assault that she had survived. It really graphic details that terrify me. Like I would not want to experience any of this personally. And yeah, my campaign manager said this woman got her tickets to the party and set her up to go to this party, and then she was drugged at the party. Can we say her name? Are we allowed to do that?
I think it's already out.
It's so hard to tell the story, right? Like
I think it's already out in the public domain.
So my campaign manager accused this woman of getting her a ticket to the party and then bringing her to the party so that and at the party she was drugged and assaulted, and this woman Kathy was with my husband, and of course they were dating, right? They were dating, and he took her to the Super Bowl and not me, right? Right. And so they were friends, and she set my campaign manager up. My campaign manager was drugged there. She knew she wasn't feeling good, and she turned to this woman for help, and this woman just turned her back on her and walked away and left her. And then she experienced this violent, horrible assault. And it was all this woman's fault because she set her up and then left her there and then wouldn't help her identify the man that assaulted her, even though they were dating. And it was it was just an awful story.
Did Kathy tell you that she was raped not Kathy, but your campaign manager. Did Kathy say that your campaign manager had been raped prior to that?
Kathy actually has some really good documentation. My campaign manager told both Kathy and I a couple of stories that were the same about rapes she experienced as a child. But my campaign manager told Kathy about a lot of rapes she was experiencing in Minneapolis. And reading through the stories that Kathy has documentation of, I mean, she really did. She was telling Kathy she was getting raped all the time. And it didn't make sense. Kathy's version, Kathy's story, even she told her to go to the police and she wouldn't go to the police. And we actually think all the rape stories that the campaign manager was telling was a way that she used to manipulate Kathy to stay in Kathy's house, because Kathy eventually opened up her home to her as well, because she didn't want her staying in this horrible rapey environment where she was getting raped by all these people. Like I can't even, I never met anybody who lied about rape before I met her. And so I didn't really expect her to tell the truth when she showed up to Kermit and Friends. But when she said she'd never been raped, it really broke my heart. Like Kathy and I sat down and went through our rape stories, and we came up with over a different guys she accused of raping her between the two of us. And I think it was all lies.
So for the people who are not familiar with Kermit and Friends, it's a show. It is an adult puppet show, and there is some fun stuff that goes on there, some serious stuff goes on there, and you are a cast member. Is that correct?
I'm a regular. It is an adult Sesame Street. it's not your average podcast.
Mhm.
It's got a religious angle to it, which I really like. Church
Mhm.
isn't the same thing for everybody. Religion isn't the same thing for everybody. I'm a spiritual person. I think the universe works in weird ways. One
Mhm.
of the things about the connection between my campaign manager and I, the way it all came together, I thought the universe had brought her to me to help her get justice. And I was wrong. The universe did not bring her to me to help her get justice. But I am a Christian, and I do believe that God will put you through hell just to give you a story to tell, and I've got a good one.
You certainly do. If someone from the community would drop the Discord down for Kermit and Friends in the chat, I greatly appreciate it, because there's a lot of documentation there. And besides, some people might want to join, and that'll be really awesome. And drop the YouTube link so that they can follow and see some more information about this story, because there's more to come, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's more to come. There's so many tricks and turns to my story, and for me, I have really struggled to tell the story because it's kind of impossible. I mean, it's really impossible, but I just keep saying I'm possible, and that's how it works. And I've struggled to tell the story in a right way because I didn't want it to be perceived. I wanted it to be believed, right? Our RBG told us something really important, right? Fight for your causes, but do it in a way that makes other people want to fight with you.
There
And
you
that's
go.
that's something I struggle with, right? Yeah, I'm an emotional person. I don't have full control of my tears. There was many years I couldn't cry, and I loved those years. I miss those years. There was
Mhm.
a time when the tears turned on, and I couldn't turn them off. And now they just kind of come and go. And I have more control over them than I did, but I don't have 100% control over it. And this is an emotional story, and it's embarrassing. It's
It's
hard to be
okay.
embarrassed all the time.
It's okay. You're doing great, Charmin. I'm proud
Thanks.
of you. I want to ask you this because I want to take it back to Kathy for a minute.
Let's go back to Kathy. God bless
Right,
Kathy.
right. I found it interesting that Kathy really was very clear about the things that your campaign manager did to her. But when when your campaign manager came on to Kermit and Friends, she did not attack her, but she attacked you. Why do you
Well,
think that is?
I think Kathy's better connected than I am. That's what I
Okay.
think. I think
Mhm.
Kathy's better connected than I am. I think Kathy's got some really good connections. I think she's got some really good connections.
And so when you say really good connections, you mean like
Yeah,
presidential level connections,
like really good connections.
Hollywood level connections.
Well, I mean, she's
I don't
involved
want
in
to put words in your
sports. She's involved in sports.
mouth. Okay.
So Hollywood and sports are two different genres, right?
Okay.
But she has some really good connections. And I was telling her my story, and I was
Okay.
telling her some of the crazy things that happened with Zarina, my campaign manager, and events that that I was trying to connect to her, but I was struggling to do it because it was such a public thing. And I wasn't the things I can prove are easy. It's the things I can't prove that are so hard. But one of the people that Kathy is connected to is Mike Lindell, and there is a connection there between my story, my campaign manager, and I found it fascinating that
Mhm.
connection was there as well.
Now you have a loyal follower, and he doesn't want to miss the opportunity of you addressing this. Your campaign manager, also known as AW, even though her name has been put out into um, the public domain already, but we'll call her either campaign manager or AW.
AW is real good. I got something special on Sunday for you.
Oh, wow. Anyway,
Anonymous Woman is fantastic. I'm so glad she did that.
okay, okay. But she accused your husband's company as being part of the team who assaulted her at the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Him, his boss, his company, and supposedly she was suing them for $850 million.
Do you know anything about that?
She never produced any proof of it.
Okay.
It would have been beneficial to me. My attorney asked for that proof many, many times. She spent many billable hours with my attorney. My divorce did not have to be as expensive or painful as it was. She was a special part of my divorce. She made it into my divorce papers. My children are not allowed to be around her at all.
Interesting. Do you have documentation of that?
Sure do.
Can you show us that today?
I could go get it. I probably have a screenshot somewhere.
Maybe a screenshot. Maybe it'll be in the KAF Discord. Is that true?
It could be in the KAF Discord later.
Okay. All right.
It'll be in the KAF Discord later.
All right. Because she is literally in the your divorce papers. Does it say her name or does it say campaign manager?
It says campaign manager, and it gives her first the initial to her first name and the initial to her last name.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting.
She was a real significant part of my story and my divorce and this disaster. My guardian ad litem spoke with her. The guardian ad litem that works for the children. She was really involved with everything. And as much as I tried to be patient with her to produce the documents, she just kept coming up with excuses and kicking the ball a little bit farther down the field. And eventually it got to the point where the ball couldn't be kicked any farther. And I got smacked really hard, right? I took a hit. I took my hit hard, and there just wasn't anything I could do about it. That's just the way it was. And my patience with her diminished drastically, very quickly. And my mediation was at the end of May. I dropped her off at the hospital in June. And by July, there was a fake sex tape, and she was arrested July the 13th.
Wait, she was arrested?
Girl, yeah, she was arrested on my mother's birthday. It was like my dead mother reached out from beyond the grave and threw that trash out of my life.
Why was she arrested?
She had stolen my credit card information, and I had a bunch of charges show up on my credit card. So I called my credit card company and they reversed everything. So there's no real crime, right? I was made whole. I can't press charges. That's on the credit card company, and they either do or don't. But she had charged a week at a hotel on my credit card. And when the credit card took the money back from the hotel called her and said, "We need our money or you have to go." And she refused to leave. So she got arrested for trespassing. It was July the 11th when I have the text messages of her threatening to release the video online. She called the police that night and had them sent to my house for a mental health check because I was crazy and I was threatening suicide and I had access to a gun. And I spoke with the police. I showed them the text messages. I told them that she was blackmailing me. They took a report. The next day she was arrested. She called me from so many random phone numbers at a hospital, at the jail. Like I have, caller ID, screenshots. I thought she would go away. She quieted down for about a month after that. And then the sister-in-law, who's the attorney, and her other attorney, they stepped into the field more often, and I dealt with them more often. Their stories were, they were always suing somebody. They were always coming to town. They were going to need me for depositions, but nothing ever materialized. It was just stories. It was just lie after lie after lie. And, I hoped for a while that eventually she would produce some documentation and everything would work out. But at some point in time, I just acknowledged that I had fallen in with a scam artist. Just before my mediation, her husband, my campaign manager's husband, I don't know how he had one of my campaign checks, but he wrote he wrote a check to somebody and signed his name to it off of my campaign account, and it bounced. Thank God there wasn't enough money in the account to cover the check, but that's felony fraud, and I'd like to know what his real last name is because I'd like to press charges against him.
I think you should. And I just found out that she was having an adulterous affair with you.
He knew.
Okay.
No. One of the stories that she told me was that he was sick and he was depressed and suicidal and he had hurt himself and he was in a medically induced coma for a month. And I was just like, go visit your husband. Go home. Go home. Go home. Go visit your husband. And of course, she didn't want to do that. I don't even think he's real. I'm not even sure the sister-in-law or the attorneys are real. Nobody's got websites. You can't prove anything. Nobody ever shows up when you need them to be there. I think it's all her. She told me that there was two girls who were also assaulted at the Super Bowl party who committed suicide. And her parents, one of the girls' parents were going to sue me and my husband because they thought we were in cahoots together to do all this. Did they ever show up? Did anything ever materialize? I think they were all just evil characters that she created for some story that she wanted to tell. She was always writing a story. She was always putting together another book. Kathy had the same thing. She threatened to put Kathy in her story. She told Kathy, I'm writing stories. I'm going to put you in it. Like, no, nobody wants to be part of her stories. And she told me a story one time. And after yesterday, I feel like she was telling me what she was going to do to me. She told me that after she was raped and assaulted at the Super Bowl party, they videoed it and they put her video up on multiple porn sites, and it took her a really long time to get them all down. And I feel like now she was telling me then what she was going to do to me. And there were so many red flags. At this point in time, I was just desperately trying to document anything to save myself. It was beyond a red flag.
I have to ask you, because there's a lot going on here. Yeah. Were there drugs involved?
I'm a medical marijuana patient. I have been smoking weed for 25 years.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm a medical, and there's no way I could have survived the last 3 years without weed. There's no way.
So were there drugs involved in the night that you were accused of raping your husband?
Yeah, I tried a liquid marijuana for the first time, and I overdosed, and I was having seizures, and I needed medical attention.
Okay.
I needed help. Nobody helped me.
And your husband just
had the greatest night of his life.
Okay. Do you believe you were raped?
Left me clumped up in a pile under my hair. My hair was all underneath me and I was all clumped up in this weird, I was really upset about it.
Do you believe you were raped by your husband?
Yeah, that's what I think that was. I think after 15 years, he knows I don't like to lay on my hair and I don't like to be touched when I'm asleep. And I like to be an active participant in all of our sexual activities. And I don't feel like I was. I don't know why he would want to touch me while I was seizing. I would have preferred he just hold me and keep me warm. That would have been nice, but that's not what was going on. And I don't remember the whole day. It was light out. It was dark out. It went on for hours. I woke up in this horrible clumped up ball. That's not how I sleep. He just left me in this pile. I didn't ever want him to touch me again.
Did you do anything else besides marijuana?
Nope. And he accused me of taking a bunch of different drugs in our divorce. And he wanted me to submit to a drug test. And I agreed to a drug test, but only if it was a hair sample test. And I wanted a year's worth of drug history from my hair.
Okay. Let's talk about why you are a medical marijuana patient. Why is that?
I have PTSD from my sexual assaults. I don't respond well to any of the antidepressants. They make me incredibly suicidal. Marijuana has a pain relieving effect that I benefit from. I have fibromyalgia. I benefit from that, the pain relief of marijuana. It is a stress relief for me. It makes it easier for me to sleep. And it doesn't make me want to kill myself.
How often have you been suicidal?
Since I was 13.
And do you have any mental health diagnosis?
Yes, absolutely. I have PTSD. I have a conversion disorder. I have had several different diagnoses through the years. After I had this situation with my campaign manager, I went back and got an updated diagnosis, and I am been diagnosed with bipolar 2. There are 2 different types of bipolar. There is bipolar 1, which is marked by mania, and it is marked by one event of staying awake for 3 days at a time, 3 days in a row. I have not ever experienced that. My bipolar is more of a depression where I'm just depressed for long periods of time.
Your campaign manager tried to use your mental health illness against you. How so?
She shamed me for being bipolar. She was really upset when I got the bipolar diagnosis. She researched it, and hypomania really upset her because she discovered that when a bipolar person is in a manic or hypomanic event, they cannot consent to sex.
Oh.
Yeah. Didn't know that was an issue, did you? How many times have you heard about crazy broads off their medication being a good time? They can't consent to sex.
I honestly didn't know that. That's a lot of new information for me. I'm sure it will be for the community.
For all the people. Yep.
There's a question out here. Can you please explain conversion disorder? Stress
manifests itself in my body in strange ways. When I am under extreme amounts of stress, I get weird illnesses. In my 20s, when I was going through my first divorce, I had shingles 3 times. The seizures during the medical marijuana overdose could have been part of a stress response. I have some vision issues sometimes when I'm heavily stressed and I have to wear glasses to read. A conversion disorder impacts everybody differently. And whenever I'm really stressed, I have strange health issues I can't explain and don't make sense. And it's part of what makes it hard to treat me.
Okay. Since we're in the medical lane, I want you to help us to understand a little bit about your sling. Can you explain it, please?
Okay, so the sling is for urinary incontinence. And the way the doctor explained the sling to me and why you need the sling, right? So it's a associated with my pelvic organ prolapse. And most people are unaware that your women's organs can fall out of their vagina. And it is first the cervix, the uterus, and the bladder. And when the bladder falls into the vagina, the pee hose gets kinked, just like a garden hose gets kinked. And so just like there's a sleeve that they can put on a garden hose to straighten the hose out, the sling works the same way. The sling is it's tension, right? It's a tension type of device. So it moves and expands with your body, and it straightens out the pee hose so that you can pee.
So obviously with the woman, well, I'm saying obviously, but women are not built in the same way men are. We have, we don't urinate out of the same place.
Most men are not even aware women have 3 holes down there. They will honestly try to stick their finger in your pee hole. Like, if you stick your finger in theirs, they get really sensitive about it, though. Like, they just feel like you should have known better, right? Like, I feel like they should have too, but it's really complicated down there. There's a lot going on. It's really complicated. You could hurt stuff.
I mean, that's
careful.
true.
You get older, the skin gets thinner. There's a lot going on.
Exactly. I brought that up because, and I wanted to talk about it because you've been challenged quite a bit because you've stated very transparently that you have these medical issues, but you've been very passionate about your sex life.
I want one. I want a good one. It's embarrassing. I want a good sex life. I want that. That's important to me. Women don't reach their prime until they're in their 30s. Let's have some fun.
Okay, you're right.
Right? Like,
so you ready to love again?
Am I ready to love again? Absolutely. And I'm looking for my last first kiss. Whoever he is, I want to be with him for the rest of my life. And I want him to be the kind of guy that if I take too much liquid marijuana and I'm seizing on the floor, he's calling 911 for me. I want him to help me. That's what I want. And there's a lot of health issues in my family. Everybody dies of cancer. I want someone who's going to take care of me. The idea that I could be sick and hurting, and that's what he was going to be doing to me. I'd rather die alone.
There you go.
I'd rather die alone. If people have been so upset this last year because so many people are having to die alone, it's a hard decision to make.
You'd rather die alone.
I don't want to be touched inappropriately by somebody who's going to hurt me ever again.
I don't want you to do that either. I noticed you said he, though, so you don't want to be with a woman anymore.
No, not after all that. No, it's my first experience with a woman. It was horrible, and she started doing all this woman stuff that men complain about all the time. And I just thought, good God, why do they even put up with us? Why do they even put up with us? Like, all these things that men complain about, they're true. But for some reason, they like us and they put up with us. And I would like one that likes all of this and will put up with it.
So apparently you're no longer a man hater.
No, I will probably be a man hater until the end of time. I have been called a man hater for decades, and people will call me a man hater forever.
I expected you to say I'm not a man hater.
I don't think I'm a man hater. I don't think I was ever a man hater when I was being called a man hater before, but I think that's just a word that men throw around at mouthy women like me because they can't get us to submit.
That's in your divorce papers. Man hater.
No. It's in my divorce papers. That I shouldn't be allowed to raise a child. I shouldn't be allowed to raise a son because I'm a man hater. And I'm waiting to get the final paperwork that is filed in the court is different than the paperwork that is served to you. And it is in the paperwork that is served to me. And at some point in time, I just picked all that stuff up and threw it away because I didn't want to look at it anymore. I can get it.
You can get it.
I can get it.
So, Sharmin,
if it was in a court document and I paid an attorney to handle it, I guarantee you I can get it.
Are you a man hater?
I don't think I hate men. I don't think I'm a man hater. But it really just matters what the men think. If the men think I'm a man hater, then what's it matter if I don't think I'm a man hater?
I don't know. I think that matters.
I don't think I'm a man hater. I think I like men a lot. I think I'm willing to challenge them and hold them accountable, and I give constructive criticism, and I understand nobody is perfect and people make mistakes, and I've been through a lot. So if you're just honest with me about what it is that's happened to you, I'll probably cut you some slack, because honesty means more to me than anything. Right. And it's all about personality for me. I just want someone that I can talk to about everything. And I mean everything. Like everything. If he's not interested in having a conversation about everything, just move on. It's not going to work.
That's fair. Are you running for office again?
If I can ever get my life straightened out, maybe we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
You know what? You running for president was pretty damn bold, right?
I've been told it was a ballsy move.
What gave you the confidence to do that?
I have wanted to my whole life. My husband and I discussed it on our first date. We both wanted to get into politics. That was one of the things that kept us together. And it is something that has been on my mind every second of every day for as long as I can remember. And I wanted to run for the House of Representatives seat in 2018 in my area. And that was when my spouse told me that he had skeletons in his closet and he didn't want to be a politician's spouse. And there was a bunch of really bad behavior taking place. And I had to have a conversation with myself where I had to decide what it was I wanted to do. And did I want to stay in this miserable, uncomfortable arrangement, because it wasn't even a relationship anymore. It was just an arrangement, right? It's cheaper to keep her. And I had to make a decision if I wanted to give up all of my dreams or end this bad relationship and chase my dreams. And I said, bye, next. How do I do this? Right? And then the universe dropped somebody in my lap who specialized in teaching people how to interview, how to do podcasts, how to get your message out, how to behave on radio stations, how to answer questions. This was their gig. They'll teach you how to handle media and questions and get your message out there and be on podcasts and create a channel and monetize your content. Like, this was their specialty. They will train you to do it. And I was like, well, thank you, Lord. I'll take it.
And she was actually evil.
No. Those were the people. Those were the marketing people I hired. But they connected me with her. They connected me with a bunch of really amazing people. Okay. And they gave me a bunch of really valuable skills and information, but they adored me and were blown away with me because I was just such a natural. And they really didn't feel like there was much they could tell me other than to just be myself. Just have a conversation with people and just be honest, because that's what people really like. And that's what people really needed. And I was like, perfect, I can do that. I got that all day. And then they just started pitching me to podcasts, and I just started showing up and talking, and I got a much better response than I thought I would get. Like, I knew it was an uphill battle. I'm crazy, not stupid. And I knew that it was unrealistic for me to win, but it didn't even matter to me to win. It wasn't about winning. It was about bringing attention to the issues that matter most to me and moving the needle. I don't have to win, right? But I want to bring attention to issues that are important to me. I want to bring new ideas. I want to help connect dots to streamline processes that I think will improve the situation for all of us. And I want to move the needle so that we get farther down the road. And these little things that are tripping us up, like being, flamboyant about talking about sex, it isn't a deterrent. It shouldn't stop anybody at this point in time. These are actually really important conversations we need to be having with each other, and we have to do it in a way that gets us talking so that we can heal from some of the stuff rather than just, throwing barbs at each other and trying to hurt each other.
Sharmin, is this true?
Hey,
Sharmin
hey, ho, ho, Rubio has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Rubio has got to go. Yeah. I mean, everybody's got
Wow.
a dream, right? And if you want to
Okay.
run for president, the best way to do it is as a junior senator. I mean, doesn't everybody want to run for president as a junior senator? Is it just me?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Sharmin, what are your top 3 issues? What are you looking to change?
I want the death penalty for pedophiles. I want harsher punishment for sexual predators. I want a nationwide agreeable standard of behaviors and expectations in regards to sexual assault. That's number one. Like, that is hurting us on so many other levels. And it was really on display this last year with all the QAnon Save the Children thing. This is something people care about. It's something that I believe 2/3 of the voting population really cares about. And I think if we could come together on this one thing, it opens the door for us to handle a bunch of others. I'm very passionate about balancing the budget. And that happens through tax reform. I support a flat tax. But we got to do something about healthcare too, and that rolls into the taxes too. If we were going to do the top 3 most important things, handling sexual assault, number 1, has to be done. I'm so proud of our Justice Department for stepping up and putting money towards finally testing all of the untested rape kits nationwide. It's long overdue. We needed it done a long time ago. This is part of what leaves us in a wounded state and keeps us from being able to heal. Right? This is part of what damages the male-female dynamic and relationship. And we live with each other every day. We gotta do it in a healthy way. We have to.
Okay. We're rounding up here, but I got to know what you think about today's events. Where do you stand on the Cuomo issue?
I haven't read the article, but I see that he's going to get some sort of criminal charges for sexual misconduct. What exactly qualifies as sexual misconduct? And how many other people are probably in trouble? Right? Like, what exactly qualifies as criminal sexual misconduct? And it's a great conversation. One of the reasons why I stopped with my campaign is because, as a Democrat, if you have any sexual misconduct issues, your career's over. Democrats don't play. You are either worthy of the job or they don't want you. If you've got some baggage or some drama, they're not going to stand by you and protect you. You have to be good enough for the role. And when all my drama popped up, I was just like, it's over. I'm done.
Sharmin,
Done. I got nothing.
Sharmin, are you good enough to be president?
I think so. I think I would do really great things for the country, right? I think that I could make a big difference, and that's important to me.
And I don't want you to give anything away, but what's up next on KAF for you?
Well, it's Halloween, so I'm thinking about a costume. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to wear. What's going to come up? Like there's a question I know is going to be coming. It is possible I will have a costume to play into the answer. It's Kermit and Friends. One of the things I like best about Kermit and Friends is that you just don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know who's going to show up. Right? There could be a mystery guest. You just don't know.
It's a cheeky show,
I like it. I just adore it. As soon as I got the first opportunity to view, when Elisa contacted me and said, "You want to be on the show? Go to YouTube, look at an episode, see if there's something you want to be involved in." I immediately went to YouTube. I searched Kermit and Friends. The first episode I found, I pulled up. I just jumped to the middle of the episode to see what was going on. Andy Dick was naked in a bathtub, and I knew this was the place for me. Right? I had already had a bathtub problem, and I knew this was the place it was going to get worked out. And I just felt like the universe brought me here.
I have to ask you this because you're so free sexually. Are you a libtard? I think that's the name they called you.
I think that's what they call me. I think that's what they call liberals. I'm a libtard. I'm a libtard. Whatever.
Oh my gosh. Oh my.
What are they gonna? Whatever. I'm named after toilet paper. If that's the best they can do, I'm disappointed. I've heard more than that my whole life. I was raised by drunk sailors. Come on now.
There you go. You know what? There's one thing for sure about you, Sharmin. You are transparent. You'll tell it how you see it, and that it is what it is.
It is what it is. And I can either overcome this horrible event or I can't. And I'll probably have to switch teams because Republicans will accept anything.
Oh my God.
Was that wrong?
Oh my God. Something's going on with this. My goodness. Okay. So do you have any last words? Because we are absolutely wrapping up here.
No, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I know my story is really complicated, and there's a lot of things I was hoping to not ever have to deal with, but it just never goes away. And the idea that it was just waiting to jump out at me, I didn't want to deal with it anymore. I didn't want to do it anymore. And I'm glad I did, because if I have a sex tape that's sitting out there on dozens of porn sites, I'd like to press federal revenge porn charges against her.
I think you might have the right to do that.
I think I might too. I think the great thing about the Kermit and Friends community is that there are so many different people. There are actually people who know how to make that happen pretty easily.
You know what?
It's like the universe loves me and brought me people to help me while I clean up this horrible mess. This story is so difficult, and the people in Kermit and Friends they're open and they're accepting. And as long as you're honest and truthful, they're just okay, this is what's going on. We're just going to move forward. And I dig that. I feel really fortunate to have landed in this place.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you for being you, for sharing yourself so generously with not just me, but the whole audience. You've been so honest. I cannot thank you enough for trusting me with your story. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Love. I appreciate you.
And come back, girl. Come back.
Anytime. I'll be back. You just call. Right. I'm here.
Well, you know what? I know there's more to come.
There is. There's a lot more to this story. And it's not the things I can prove that upset me the most. It's the things I can't prove that are the most spectacular part of the story.
I got to tell you, folks, we've really only scratched the surface. There's a lot more to come. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.